I didn't even know I had an accent until you told me.
But that's a positive. That's not a negative.
At the time, I thought it was a negative.
Right. Or at least they wanted to project to you that it was a negative.
Yeah. It felt that way. It felt that way, but it was also myself and my self-esteem. So
how did you come out of that? Because you had to do it publicly.
I talked about it.
Did you?
I said it. I said it out loud. I didn't, I said that this is how I feel about this. And sometimes this makes me feel this way. And, just being honest about it. I think other people say, well, I feel that in my workplace too. Other men and women.
Right.
They're like, I want to be where the next level person is, but it feels like they don't want me there. Like I'm going to take their seat type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think when people could relate and I feel the same way, and we would talk and stuff, and I'd say, but you got to keep being you. Don't let them change you either, because that was something that I know how to adapt, but I don't lose myself either.
Right.
So going to the DMV, I listened, I learned, I was like, tell me about the mumbo, tell me about the go-go, show me Horace and Dickie, show me whatever,
Absolutely.
U Street, H Street, talk to me, and I would listen. And I'm used to talking, as you can see.
Yeah.
I'm used to talking and like telling people about me. So when I would just listen, I'd be like, all right, let me respect the space I'm in. This is your town. This is your city. Let me learn.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what people appreciated.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the We Won't Quit podcast. I am Mike Humes. I'm excited. I have my friend Tati here. World-renowned Tati is, kind of how I look at her.
Oh, that's too nice.
No, it's a fact. And I not grew up. I guess now I make myself sound real young, right? I used to listen to Tati on the radio in the DMV area where I'm originally from. She is now in San Diego.
Yes.
Out with iHeartRadio. Thank you so much for taking time to come through.
Thank you. That was a nice intro. Thank you.
Well, I'm not finished.
You said world-renowned. I was like, what? Right. Okay.
Well, you're from the world,
everywhere.
right?
Hawaii, yes. I have gone coast to coast and off the island, so I guess so.
I love Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii is paradise. To me, it's just home, and I didn't really know it was paradise when I was there.
Is that where you're originally from?
Yeah.
Hawaii?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I grew up Hawaii, so.
Good stuff.
You'll hear it sometimes when I
heard
talk.
it when you said Hawaii. How I say Hawaii versus how
locals say Hawaii.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll hear it. It just comes out every once in a while. When I'm angry, it really comes out.
Is that right?
Yeah, then I can't form any sentence that you will understand.
But we'll try to avoid any anger. Or maybe we will, just so we can get a chance to hear that dialect. I remember going to do karaoke in Hawaii, and my buddy was like, no, it's pronounced karaoke.
Yeah, it's karaoke. Yeah.
See?
Karaoke, yeah.
I learned something new. Well, that's been another episode of the We Won't Quit podcast. Now you can go do karaoke. But no, that's powerful. So how was growing up in Hawaii? I mean, everyone obviously wants to go to Hawaii, travel to Hawaii.
Yeah, it was good. The thing is with Hawaii, it's like you are an outdoor person, obviously. That is what you would do. So beach every weekend, sometimes leave school early and go to the beach. But yeah, it was beaches and backyard barbecues,
Wow.
for us. And so I didn't know any different except for watching a lot of TV and MTV. And that's when I said, I want to go to the mainland. And everyone's like, whatever, mainland, I want to go to California and New York. I always said that when I was in Hawaii. So I think I was there, but I wasn't there. Like my mind wasn't there. Like I wasn't appreciating Hawaii until I left. And then when I came back, I said, what was wrong with me?
Wow.
I grew up in paradise and I never appreciated it. So it was nice. It was slow. It was family. It was very, community. Like everyone knows everyone. And someone gets in trouble, someone's mom is going to call up your mom. Like it was just very, island living.
Right. Yeah, very much a sense of community is what I gather from, the team that I've been able to work with in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So the very first time, I'll tell you my Hawaii story. First time I traveled to Hawaii, what year was that? I can't remember, but it was one of my first trips there.
90s or 2000s?
2000s. It was definitely 2000s.
Oh, so it was fun. I was there. Mm-hmm.
Is that right? So this particular time, I'm there. I did a series of events.
Okay.
Right? So obviously like a 13-hour flight, landed, that's like 3 movies is how I always categorize my trip to Hawaii, right? It's like 3 movies. I got to figure out which 3 movies I'm going to watch on the plane.
Yes.
And landed, had an event that Friday night. Saturday, a huge event that we did. And we were going to rest and we were going to do a luau on Sunday.
Okay.
We ended up hanging out Saturday night to the wee hours of the morning. And about maybe 6 a.m., there was an earthquake.
So you guys got tsunami warning?
We did,
because you didn't feel the earthquake. Because the thing with Hawaii is, I don't know if you feel the earthquake, you'll know it happened because you get a tsunami warning.
Well, I thought that I was just intoxicated. And so I'm looking at the room shake a little bit. And I remember,
did feel it?
Oh, absolutely. Because I was staying in Waikiki.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the hotel that I stayed at, was shaped so that water, if it did, could rush right through the center of it.
Okay.
It was unbelievable.
You're like, why?
Yes.
I come to Hawaii and this happens because it doesn't happen often.
No, not at all.
No.
Yeah.
So did you ever go back after that?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
4 times. And 2 other times there were tsunami warnings.
Yeah.
So my buddy, Darnell and I, we just decided we can't go at the same time. So
Yeah.
It was just us.
It's one of those, I think you told me that you guys went before and you were like, no, we can't do this because one of us has to go home and say, something happened to the other, take care of the kids or something for each other.
I just remember his aunt, because his mom went on this trip. It's the first time his mom and his aunt, Darnell's mom and aunt, came on this trip to hear him speak.
Yeah.
And so the building's shaking, right? Literally, you could feel it. And so I'm looking out into the water, had the most beautiful view, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking to see what's going to happen next. And all I remember seeing is his aunt, Melinda, shout out to Aunt Melinda, leaning over the rail of the balcony with her rollers saying, "Hey, Mike." And I'm like, "Aunt Melinda, please get off the balcony. Like, what are you doing?" She's like, "Okay." And we were on like the 30th floor, so we had to go down all these steps.
Oh, wow.
And there are a lot of people who shop in Hawaii.
Oh, you guys were in one of the high rises, definitely,
Yeah, it was beautiful though.
Yeah, that's a wild story. I feel like when people go on vacation, they have like that kind of story. You never forget that. I mean, you're on vacation.
No,
you don't expect that. Did you guys do any outdoor stuff in Waikiki? Because Waikiki, a lot of people, when they go to Hawaii, they stay in Waikiki. And I always tell people, go out of Waikiki.
Right.
Go outside of Waikiki. But when you're in Waikiki, the nice thing is everything is at your
it's right there.
Right there. You can go downstairs and say, I want to go, parasailing. I want to go on a boat and go whale watching. You can do all of it right there. I want to learn how to surf. I want to rent a moped and go around the island with the mopeds. Like, you can do everything from Waikiki. So I always ask people, what did you do? Did you do stuff, or did you just kind of?
We did, but we did because, remember, I was building my business and building a team there. So we had folks from Oahu, from all over.
I see.
So we got a chance to just
team build and everybody go out.
It was amazing.
And it's local, so they're taking you to all kinds of places.
They knew every place we went in at this time, someone was on the team. Like every business. So it was
That's
unreal.
The best way to be in Hawaii is to have a local with you so that they could take you to all the different areas.
But so now I'm spoiled because I can't just go, right? And, without
well, you can. You got a lot of good Hawaii folks and they're ready to just take you. Yeah, if you call the Katoas, I'm sure they're like, let's go.
Absolutely.
Well, the Katoas are mainland.
They're on Oahu.
Oh, okay. That's where Mom is.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, it's the main island.
I know we were talking about our moms prior to, right? And I have an issue with throwing things away that I probably got through my mom. Mama Humes definitely has a problem.
We like to say it's our mothers. I always say it's my mom too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
my mom's still in Hawaii, and so she's accumulated some stuff. And I always tell her, I was like, can't take all that with you. And she's like, I know. But I'm going to send it to the Philippines. My mother's Filipino. She always wants to send it, and she likes to help people. I'm like, that's cool, but when?
Yeah, that's always the question, right? When is it going to actually get moved? But that's great. She's helping people.
She is. Good. I think that's always her intention. Her intention is to help people. Whether she gets to it, I know that it's her heart. Right, so I'm like, all right, well, I try to offer help, and when she's willing to take it, then good. And most times she's not, and I'm like, all right, I just got to let her be.
So is that one of the virtues you got from your mom, helping people? And
I think my mother, because she always talked about Philippines and how lucky I was to be born in the U.S. and be stateside and all that. And I think because she always talked about how back home, the kids, I'm a spoiled American kid is what it was. Like, you're so spoiled, you know, and I never thought of it that way because we lived Section 8, welfare, apartment building my whole life, you know, 9 floors up. Like, I always felt like we were poor.
Right.
But she always said, you have no idea what poor looks like. And I went to the Philippines and she was right.
Wow.
There are kids just running around the streets begging for money. And I thought, oh, wow, I am definitely way better off in America than if I was in the Philippines. So,
what age helped. Did you go? At what age did you travel to the Philippines?
I was 10, I think, when I went. Yeah. And the kids were, you know, pulling on my clothes. And, you know, they're even, some were my age, some were a little bit older than me, some were really small, you know, and I thought, where are the parents? You know, I'm thinking, where are their mom and dad? And my brother said, oh, no, these are all street kids. They're all homeless. Wow. And I thought, that's crazy. Like, I couldn't even fathom, like 10 years old, I'm like, well, they need their parents with them. Yeah. But I just gave him whatever was in my pocket. And he goes, no, don't just give money.
Never stops, right?
That's what he said, because we're gonna go one more block and they're gonna follow us and they're gonna tell. And it really happened where it was always new kids coming up. So that experience led to wanting to help.
Did it?
Yeah, I think it made me realize I'm way more fortunate here than I would be if my mother stayed in the Philippines. So.
Right. So as a mom now, and you have 3, and you have pretty much, well, you have an adult as
all of them,
right?
Yeah, I have every stage. I got 24, 14, and 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and so adult child he's finally doing his thing. He's got roommates now. He just moved out, and I'm like, good for you. And I was worried that he wouldn't be able to make rent. I was like, but I didn't want to tell him. I was like, you know what? I'm going to let him cross that bridge when he gets to it, because he's going to need to, right? On his own.
Yeah, yeah.
And someone told me I pumped too much fear into my children, too. And I was like, you know what? Let me stop doing that, too. Let me say, you know what? You got this, kid.
Yeah.
There's a job opening over here, too. You might want to get another job. So he's like, all right. So he got a 3rd job.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's working.
Yeah, and then I got the high school girl, my only girl. Okay. That's the one that I feel like is you're a girl dad.
I am a girl dad.
Girls are not the same as boys.
No,
I feel like.
Well, I'm an uncle to all boys and a godfather to, I'm a godfather to girls too, but I have 22 and 3. So I miss that middle age.
Yeah. You said you miss it like you want it, because I don't miss it.
I'm good. I don't even. I'm 22 to 3. Yeah, I'm good. I'm the 3. Maya just she was like, I'm here. So but I love it. I love being a girl dad.
Yeah, but it's hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah, I feel like we hover on our girls a little harder than we do our boys. My son asked for a sleepover. I'm like, okay, cool. My daughter's like, wait, what? I'm not even allowed to sleep over places. I was like, uh-oh.
Absolutely. So having 2 daughters, I've always, it was tough. And Michaela mainly, because she's almost 22.
Yeah.
So I had to take a look at any and everybody wherever she was going, I needed to know. But everybody felt comfortable coming and staying in my house. So.
But she had sleepovers then?
She did, yeah.
And not only at your house, she was allowed to go, but you had to meet everybody first.
Very few places. Yeah, it was a circle. You kind of kept that circle tight.
Yeah, my daughter's starting her circle, so I'm gonna learn from what you just said. Keep the circle tight, and we'll see.
Now I see you and your daughter on social media. You're so cute. It's so funny, the videos. I was just watching that last video. I'm like, oh, she's a mini you. Like, you guys are hilarious. Is really the word.
We have a lot of fun. I think that I try not to take things too seriously. But that's why I run into problems with her, because we're like friends, but we're not friends. I'm like, we're cool, but also I need to lay down some rules. And we just get along so well, and we laugh, and she's hilarious.
Yeah.
And so, I know people are always like, she's just like you. I'm like, she kind of is. She told me she wanted to be a comedian when she was younger, and I was like, please, no, that's hard. I was like, no.
Wait, were you a comedian before?
No.
Oh, okay.
You always tell me I'm funny.
Oh, no, you're hilarious. You both are, and you all should have your own reality show or something.
Yeah, Hawaii is called No Shame. In Hawaii, when you have no shame, that's the best thing, because you will say it all. Like, there's no filter. Right. I don't have a filter.
Right.
So she's the same way. And I'm like, can you stop? She says some ridiculous things. And I'm like, oh man, you're way ahead than I was, at your age. I'm like,
yeah. But it's great that they, our kids have us or the type of parent that you are, because you have to be so relatable, to be able to keep up with where they are, to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, I used to be scared of it. I used to be scared. And I think it was because I didn't give myself enough credit. And I think now that I get older, I realized I did pretty well. I navigated pretty good. I made some mistakes. I learned from them. People might judge, but I mean, who cares?
Right.
Like, what I mean?
Yeah.
So now that I've extended myself that grace and kind of said that, I did pretty good. Now I can allow her to have parts of me and for me not to get scared. Like when she said comedian, I was like, nope, too hard. Nope. I don't want you to be like, nope. I don't want you to go my path and do radio and this. I don't want you to do it. And now, she says like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, hey, whatever you want to do.
Right.
Whatever you want to do. And even if it looks like my path, fine. I'll help you. I'll support you.
Right.
I'll show you, different things. And it's not going to be the same because today's landscape is different. I mean, with social media, she's the pro. I'm learning from her.
Right.
And that's the thing. My kids teach me a lot, too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, it speaks to your relationship with them. Yeah.
I got to be able to be taught, too. Because my mother and I, and I tried to tell her something. She's like, no.
Right.
I'm like, Mom, I know a little bit something different.
Right,
I mean, times have changed. She's like, no.
Right.
So I see that dynamic, and I'm like, all right. With grandparents, a little different. Yeah. Grandparents are set. So you just
very set. And I
told
told you earlier, I look at my mom. I give my mom the same grace I used to give my grandmother. My grandmother was 97 when she passed away. And my great-grandmother was 106.
What a beautiful long life they lived.
All women. The men, not so much. We're doomed on the male side. So whatever they're doing, I guess I need to extend more grace or learn from them. But you mentioned grace and giving yourself grace, which allows us to give our kids grace, which is so key. But let's pivot, because you talked about her being a comedian and then you being in radio. Like, how did that seems like such a tough, competitive field. I mean, I used to listen to you on, PGC in the DMV area.
Right.
And so you have two people in the morning, one person from 10 to 2. Like, it's literally a total of maybe 7 people throughout the entire day.
Yeah. When I was there, we had 4, 5 people in the room. Guy Lambert's like staple. He's going to be there forever, So Guy Lambert, he handled news. Joe was the lead. But, getting to that point, getting to DC, because DC is a top 10 market in radio. That was just, to me, just being in that room and with those folks, I always felt that I needed to just listen and learn.
Really?
Yeah.
You sound so comfortable. Like, I remember listening to you all.
Because they're awesome.
Daily.
They're amazing people.
You all flowed. The chemistry was great.
Yeah.
And that's not always the case.
Well, the thing with radio is if you don't respect the people you're in a room with, people will hear that you don't respect the person you're in the room. So like with Joe Claire, oh my gosh, I respected him immediately. And I think it was because just how you talk about your daughters and your mom and your grandmother.
Right.
He talked about his mother and how she was a single mother and she's, a professor, an author, like and I still remember her name. He would be like, Maxine wouldn't talk like that, Tati. If I start to have negative self-talk, he'd be like,
Right.
You came off an island. Like he would remind me where I came from. And it made me feel like, man, he's so dope. Like, that's what you need in a co-host, is someone that sees that maybe you feel a little, like you're cowering in the grandest, in the room. And he goes, no, you made it here. Come on.
Absolutely. You deserve to be here.
You deserve to be here. And Guy Lambert was the same way. So when you work with people who are respectful and they want to help you and support you, that's when it just flows.
Yeah.
I've worked with people where they wanted me to know I was below. They wanted me to know I wasn't there yet, or where I came from. Like, I came from an island. Let me show you how we do it in the mainland kind of thing.
Wow.
Your accent. And they would always remind me of my accent. I'm like, why you keep telling? I didn't even know I had an accent until you told me.
But that's a positive. That's not a negative.
Hey, family, when was the last time you got a chance to wear something meaningful? Whether it was today, last month, or never. I want you to understand that Jack Design has a message that will resonate with each of you. Each and every design is intended to inspire action while reminding us to wear art. You can mix metal with a flower and wear the Steel Rose collection. You can unleash your creative genius, or you can participate in our legacy with the Signature collection. Here's what I need you to do. Go visit their website, and peruse the gallery. Make sure you put in Don't Quit 22 in the promo code so you can receive that 10% discount just for being a part of the We Won't Quit podcast family. Go out and check out Ject Design. You will not be disappointed.
At the time, I thought it was a negative.
Right. Or at least they wanted to project to you that it was a negative.
Yeah, it felt that way. It felt that way, but it was also myself and my self-esteem. So
how did you come out of that? Because you had to do it publicly.
I talked about it.
Did you?
I said it. I said it out loud. I didn't, I said that this is how I feel about this. And sometimes this makes me feel this way. And, just being honest about it. I think other people say, well, I feel that in my workplace too. Other men and women.
Right.
They're like, I want to be where the next level person is, but it feels like they don't want me there. Like I'm going to take their seat type of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think when people could relate and I feel the same way, and we would talk and stuff, and I'd say, but you got to keep being you. Don't let them change you either, because that was something that I know how to adapt, but I don't lose myself either.
Right.
So going to the DMV, I listened, I learned. I was like, tell me about the mumbo, tell me about the go-go, show me Horace and Dickie, show me whatever,
Absolutely.
U Street, H Street, talk to me, and I would listen. And I'm used to talking, as you can see.
Yeah.
I'm used to talking and like telling people about me. So when I would just listen, I'd be like, all right, let me respect the space I'm in. This is your town. This is your city. Let me learn.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what people appreciated too.
No, we definitely did. We miss you there.
I miss it. I know. Every time someone says, we miss you in the DMV, I'm like, I miss the DMV.
Yeah.
This is a different world.
I bet.
Completely different. And it's hard. When I first got here, it was hard for me to explain without sounding, I don't know, I felt like it sounded terrible the way I was saying it. I was like, there's culture there. Here is, and I had to ease back on how I said that. I didn't want to offend anybody.
Right.
Yeah, I love the West Coast. Obviously, I came back.
This weather is beautiful. I'm about to tear up just thinking about, I got to leave this weather.
Go back to the cold.
Right. It went from 70 a few days ago to 35 the next day.
I saw. I still follow everybody in DC, and I'm like,
why would the weather do that? But here it's just
no, it doesn't here too.
I may not come back. Right, this is it. I'm here for good. San Diego.
Talk to San Diegans; they'll tell you it's weird. It's weird too. It gets really cold, just not DC cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that transition to did you have another stop prior to leaving DC or?
Yeah. So.
Or where has radio taken you?
So radio was Hawaii first.
Okay.
And then I worked at Clear. It was called Clear Channel at the time.
I remember Clear.
Yeah. And then I left and I came here to San Diego, and I worked on a station called Z90, which was equivalent to the WPGC of DC.
Okay.
So Z90 was the heritage. It was the first station that kind of launched hip hop in San Diego. And so every San Diegan I talk about this big Jammin' Z90 bus. And here I am new coming into that. So I was on a heritage station, and they have Mexican signals. I don't know if you know, they have like their towers are in Mexico.
Okay.
So that was kind of a big deal too. And then I was here for 7 years and then went to DC.
Okay.
So it was 7 in Hawaii, 7 here, 3 years in DC, and San Diego never stopped talking to me while I was in DC. So they were always like, when's your contract up? You want to come back? And Hawaii did the same. And I would always be like, yeah, we'll see. I want to see where this can take me.
Right.
If this takes me to New York and LA, that'd be great. But while I was in DC, I realized I didn't want to go to LA or New York anymore.
Really?
Talking to like all the people there, and learning about Donnie Simpson and how BET was in DC, and like DC had everything.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I want to do New York anymore or LA. But San Diego called, the weather called. It's a shorter flight to Hawaii to see my family.
Absolutely.
San Diego's always showed me love.
That's great.
San Diego, when they love you, they love you. They'll forever, and so I was like, I'm going back.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I, when I think about radio, I always think about, when a person wakes up, because you're in the morning, right? I'm like, what time did they have to get up to get started?
You saw my recent post, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm dancing to my alarm.
Yes.
It is hard.
Yes. I think I reposted that too, because that was hilarious. I was like, that's what you have to do.
Well, I reposted it. It was Baller Alert. I can't take credit for that. I was like, Baller Alert always has the funniest, and Shade Room. But yeah, it's hard. I start at about 4:45. Actually, it's 4:44. That's my very first alarm. It used to be earlier than that. It was like 4:24 when I was in DC, but I pushed it back. But yeah, and I started at 4:44 and I got 4 more alarms after that. So I'm doing a dance in my
just snoozing.
I'm dancing and I started to change the alert tone because I got too used to. So I have to try and surprise myself and switch it up because I really will get used to my alarms and not wake up.
That's me with flights, like trying to being in different time zones. Yeah. I'm still on the East Coast time zone on my watch. And
earlier we looked and I said, oh, you're...
Yeah, I'm like always all over the place. But yeah, so when did you get accustomed to that? And so do you take a break after that? Like, do you have to...
Yeah, so I will say this, and it took just recently for me to really seek out like therapy, and I'm part of like a book club now where it's women who we talk about the traumas that we've been through and all the things that kind of stuck with us and doesn't serve us anymore. Like the naysayers when I said coming up in radio and all that, like all those things don't serve me now in my life, but it just recently made me realize that factored into my day. So I wake up so early, 10 o'clock to about 1 p.m. I do post-production, I do social, I'm recording commercials or I'm, putting together the show's podcast. So I'm doing post-production stuff. And then I'd get home and I'd be spent. And I'm like, I need a nap. So every day I was like, I need a nap before I could pick up my kids from school.
Right.
And so that was kind of always the thing. I need a nap. I need a nap an hour or two. However, I just need to in the middle of the day. That way I can go past, 8:30, 9:30. And I'm a late sleeper.
Really?
I'll stay up till like midnight and then have to wake up at 4:40, and even past that.
I know when, we would be on Zooms together and I'm thinking, I know she has to be up early.
Yes.
And sometimes those were 9, 10 in the evening.
The naps would help me go later.
Get to that, yeah.
Yeah, but now I don't nap, and that's why I brought that up, is now I don't nap. And I think it's because I've metaphorically dropped bags I was carrying that I didn't need to carry anymore. So the weight of the world is a little different in my going into my days. Like I have just not carrying other, I don't even know how to explain it. My brain was always going, and that's why I was so tired. So I was thinking about something that, and it would affect my mood, and I was exhausted. And so I think recently I felt like, the last 3 months I haven't napped in the middle of the day, and I'm still good. I'm like, I'm good.
And what did you do differently? It was the women's group, or just dealing with that
therapy.
Trauma, the therapy?
Yeah, just actually feeling my feelings instead of suppressing. So I used to cry in my car all the time. I used to always say my office is my car, and I cry in my car. Nobody needs to see me crying, or I'd cry in my studio when I didn't have other people, when I had my own shows. And I stopped doing that when my kids, when my kids got a little bit older, I didn't want them to see me crying all the time. And my oldest son, the 24-year-old, he saw me cry all the time. He's a teddy bear. He's so soft. He's such a good kid. Like
he seems like such a great young man.
Kind heart.
Yeah.
Kind heart. My 2 others, I didn't want that for them. I didn't want them to see that, and I did a disservice by doing that, because they need to know that they can cry too.
Absolutely.
It's not a bad thing.
Right, right.
So I'm going back to that. And I told my daughter yesterday, I was like, I was so sad yesterday. I was in this sadness. So I cried, and she goes, Mom. I go, it's okay. I got it out. I cried. And she goes, what was it about? I told her, and she goes, oh, okay. Are we going to the mall later today?
She just went right to the next subject. She was like, we good. You good.
You good now. Are we going to go later? I'm like, yeah, we'll go later.
Wow.
But yeah, I feel like that has changed my day-to-day life.
Has it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And how I operate and how much energy I have. People always ask me that question. It's always, you wake up so early. How do you go through the rest of your day? And I used to always say naps. Now I say therapy. Yeah. Making time.
Yeah, it's key.
For yourself.
It's key.
Yeah.
I had my last guest, I'd interviewed Jewel McDougal, who's a therapist.
Was she part of the Kumba Fest?
She was. She was part of the Kumba Fest, yes. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. And it's funny on the episode.
I watched her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes. She was, but we talked about just therapy, we talked about all of it, dealing with the traumas, dealing with things that, childhood trauma, just all of the things that we hold on, the baggage that we all hold on to.
Yeah.
And it's so necessary to release that stuff and to get it out. And And I think as men, for men, we hold on to it even more.
Well, I think men don't have a place to put, like, I think that we have expected you guys to suppress that. Like, we don't want to see it.
Right.
Be a man. You know what I mean? Like, don't be weak. And like, even that I'm learning is like, I look at my son who's 12 and I think to myself, man, how many times have I told him push through? Push through. You got this. You don't got, and I didn't allow him the space to say, feel how you feel. It's okay. Let it out. And then go back out there.
And he's an athlete, right?
He's an athlete.
Yeah.
And it happens with athletes more than
absolutely.
We expect boys to get out there and then
push through the pain.
Yeah. Like, and then words like weak or the P word. Once you tell a boy that, they carry that for the rest of their lives, and then you wonder why men puff up their chests and feel like they need to always assert their dominance. And it's like, because you taught them that.
Right.
But I think now men are starting to see, and I hope you are too.
Oh, absolutely.
Starting to see that you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're girl dad, so I feel like girl dads have.
Oh, I cry. I cry in the car. I cry in the studio. I cry everywhere. Yeah.
Good.
I cry on stage. It's just like, but I think it's the euphoric recall. Like, I can go back to any place and I can feel, and being an empath, I know how I felt. I know how the room smelled. I recall so much. And it's so vivid that, those emotions kind of can surface from it. But I think it's helped me in the sense of being able to never lose sight of where I came from or how I got here and not taking it for granted.
Yeah. And process it.
Yeah.
Process it.
Right.
And the thing is, you don't process it once. I thought I was like, I'm good. I'll put that behind me. No, I'm great. I can talk about my story all the time. I could say my story and not even cry. See, I'm healed.
Yeah.
No. I did it so long saying it, not crying in public, that I was programming myself to go, don't you let it. I used to always say, oh no, I don't, I'm a thug, I don't cry. And then I shift and I go, oh no, I got thug tears. Like I would say, I can cry, I can cry too. Right. But I never did it in front of people. I always felt like we put up, that's our armor. Once you show that vulnerability and you show that it's weakness.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know who taught me that.
Exactly. We go back to where that came from, and but it's what we see is what we'll be most often. Yeah. But at some point,
like I don't want to be prey. I don't want somebody to go, oh, there she is. Right. Now I know. Now I know where she's where I could get her. She's weak and she'll. Yeah. And so I always kind of tell myself, no, I can't do it. No, I don't care. Now I'm like. I try not to apologize when I start crying too. If it comes out, I'm like, can I just get a napkin? Let me just get through this.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing to apologize for. Right.
You're feeling your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to do that. But I think our kids are going to be better for it. I think we're now starting to see the effects of what our parents and our grandparents they had to go through. So now we are telling our kids it's okay.
And I think when you get to a certain age, do you feel like when you get to a certain age, you're like, I know we talk about getting to a point now where we just don't care. Like, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to be who I be. That's why I say I love your social media and you're so much fun. Like you guys you live.
To an extent.
And you can tell it's you. Right.
I do that. I don't care. But trust me, I'm looking after it's done.
Right.
After it's done, now I'm like, okay, was that too much? Okay, wait. Oh, people are reacting. Perfect. Then I want to read the comments. Yeah. That's the worst.
I think it just gives other people a feeling of freedom to say, well, if she's on the radio and she's known in all these different markets and in and outside the country and she can be free, I should be able to be free.
I hope that's what people are getting.
No, that's what
I've never heard that, so I hope so.
Trust me.
I need people to feel that way so I can keep doing what I do.
No, keep doing it. Keep doing it. You. So what's next for Tati? Do we know?
Well, I'm learning through you. I'm learning through Jasmine. I'm learning through people that I'm meeting, the book club women, that there is more than just radio. I always would tell people I'm a one-trick pony. And now I know that's not true. It's really not true. There is no limit. So I think I'm trying to learn more outside of radio. I do voice work, so I have another thing that I do. I want to do a book. I've always said I wanted to write a book.
You definitely should do a book.
I know.
You gotta do a book.
You know what scares me?
What's that?
is that it's going to have to be volumes. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to even like,
yeah.
Like, it's so much. And it's because I hold my mother's stories and I hold my sister's stories.
Wow.
And it all affects me. So it's not just my story. I feel like my story is so many other stories.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to be mindful of like telling my story, but also being kind when I bring in the other people who are the characters in my story. I think most writers have that, right?
Yeah, no, that is 1,000% where I am and why I haven't done a book. Folks would always say, you need to do a book as a single father, like this, that, and the other. But I was always cognizant of how my story would affect my daughter.
Yes.
Just because it encompasses, you know, her and her family, you know, her mom and
yes.
just different situations.
Things that she probably didn't hear about. Now she's going to read it in the book.
Right. Or maybe she heard a different version, right? You know, their truth versus my truth.
Yeah.
So I always held off for that very reason. But you're absolutely right. It encompasses so many people. But
we got to do it, Mike.
Yeah, it's a must. It's a must. We got to get it done.
We got to get it done.
Volume by volume.
They can write a book too. Whoever's in the
Absolutely.
If they don't like your version, they can write a book too. It's
exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think everybody has their story and their perspective of the same event.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing some of your story with us today.
Thank you.
I greatly appreciate you.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
know your schedule. I know you could be so many other places. I know you need to be on the field right now.
I do.
Right, watching your son. She saw it. She saw you score. Promise me. I promise you, rather. Yeah. Promise me. Promise you. She saw
it. Video.
Right.
Watch it back. He'll text it to me.
Well, no, thanks so much. Let folks know how they can get in touch with you, how they can find you, rather,
okay,
and follow you.
Yeah, social media, obviously Instagram, 2 Cents Tati. That's because of the segment, the segment I do on the radio. So 2 Cents Tati on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Facebook. It's Tati Pellegrin, which is the maiden name, or just iHeartMedia if you want to email Tati@iHeartMedia.com.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I got to come back out here and enjoy some more of this weather. So
you do.
It's a must.
I hope you went to some taco shops. And
today, I'm gonna have to squeeze that in today.
Okay.
That's a must. That's a must. All right, family. This has been another episode of the We Won't Quit podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, share this information. Make sure you follow Tati and follow myself as well at The Real Mike Humes. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care. I'm gonna do the hang loose. That's what I do with that. All right. Yeah. All my folks there. God bless. Take care.
Hey family, did you know that the things you say to yourself about yourself would eventually determine who you attract and even what you attract for ourselves? You want to know where I learned that? I learned that from listening to the Self-Talk Experience podcast. Look, I'm excited because some of my mentors, Darnell and Tracy Self, have started a podcast that is exploding simply because they're shifting the way people think. I've been blessed to know this couple for about 25 years, and there's no way I would have went from mailman to millionaire if it wasn't for this couple. Look, I've watched them personally help dozens of individuals earn a 7-figure income, but I've also watched them help thousands of people shift the way they think inside of their family, inside of their marriage, inside of their household, inside of their job, inside of their career, and change lives. And now, for free, you get a chance to experience what many have paid tens of thousands of dollars to experience. Go watch the Self-Talk Experience podcast. I promise you, your life will never be the same.